Coming to you direct from Silencer Shop Studios, home of the glass case of emotion.
SilencerShop.com, the easiest way to buy silencers online, period.
Stand by for education, enlightenment, enjoyment, and entertainment.
He's not here to talk about your feelings. He's not here to say what you want to hear. He's here to say what needs to be said.
Ladies and gentlemen, and children of all ages, please welcome your host, the pimp hand of America, Professor Paul Markle.
If I didn't know better, I think that the forces of evil were at work to try and prohibit us from doing what it is that we do. But we have overcome the forces of evil at least one more time. And we are here on, well, if you're listening to this Tuesday, well, it's October 18th, 2016. And it is National Hug Your AK Day. Now, if this is news to you for some strange reason, if you're just now finding out about this. We began this tradition way back, it was actually 4 years ago today, after the, I think it was the first or second, it was either the first or second presidential debate between Comrade Barry and Mitt Romney. And Comrade Barry, well, they had already counted all the electoral votes, and he was bored with the process, and he decided to attack assault weapons and AK-47 specifically. And, the typical idiot liberal rhetoric about, nobody needs and weapons of war on our streets and blah, 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 blah. So, we decided that it wasn't right. It was just not right that an elected government official should take out after an inanimate object that did not have the ability to defend itself. And so we encouraged everyone in the Student of the Gun audience to hug their AK, to tell their AK that it would be okay, that they would take care of it, that they would make sure that they protect it from unwarranted attacks by liberal fascist politicians. And so, the first one was on October 18th, 2012. And here we are 4 years later, and we apparently in the United States of America, the people who are supposed to be in charge, the citizens, the productive citizens, not the leeches, not the tax slaves, but the productive citizens, I don't know what we're waiting for to fix things. I guess there's just too much fantasy football going on, or The Voice, or Dancing with the Stars. There's too much reality television going on that we've got to pay attention to that. And I don't know, Jared. What do you think? I mean, here we are.
I try not to think. It hurts my brain.
How could we possibly? This is the insanity of the nation that we currently live in. I'm going to assume that most of you and your friends and neighbors understand the English language, that you speak it, that most of you write it and read it. And we've gone through now almost 8 full years of hardcore liberal fascism, of the government sticking their nose into and abusing and screwing up anything that they can touch, whether it's the coal industry, whether it's the oil industry. We know, these are things that we know. We know that Comrade Barry and his willing accomplices in the Congress and the Senate funneled not millions, but billions of dollars of U.S. taxpayer money, your money, my money, Jared's money, funneled it into their cronies' pockets for this green energy scheme. And what did we find out? Oh, most of these green energy companies took the millions of dollars, billions of dollars in government loans and seed money and grants and so forth, and just pissed it away. We know that. We know that the TARP money, that the stimulus package money, that all of this money, and if you don't know that, I don't know where you've been. You probably playing fantasy football. Anyone who's willing to pay attention knows that in the first couple of years, we funneled literally billions of taxpayer dollars into the pockets of political cronies of the Comrade Barry administration. There was payback. All these people that supported Comrade Barry, they wanted their payback. And so they're like, well, calm down. We gotta go ahead and get Congress to vote on some of this slush fund money, some of this payback money, this kickback money for you guys. But I'll get it to you. Just calm down. We had a United States ambassador murdered in a foreign country by a foreign power, and we did nothing. We had another ambassador attacked, slashed across the face, slashed in the face with a knife. Just opened his face right up. Remember that, Jared? In Japan.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That was after Ambassador Stevens was killed, right? Now, Stevens, I'm sorry that he's dead, but he bet on, he was a big Comrade Barry supporter. He became he got that appointment because he was a good water carrier for the liberal fascist administration. And when it was time for the liberal fascists to pull him out of a jam, they did what they do. They ignored it. They weighed the political consequences first. Well, if we save and rescue our people, will that make someone else angry? Will we anger our enemies? Comrade Barry took over, claimed that he would get us out of Afghanistan and get us out of Iraq, and he would end the global war on terror. Well, he did by surrendering. He essentially announced to our enemies that we had no intention of continuing, that we did not have the will to go on, and then they set up a convoluted set of rules of engagement so that our troops essentially have to be in the process of being killed before they're allowed to fight back. And any U.S. military trooper who engages and kills an enemy combatant is immediately treated as a suspect. And we have JAG officers. We have as many JAG officers in country as we have medical personnel. We have JAG officers pulling little Joe Snuffy, the 19-year-old PFC, off of patrol and interviewing him to make sure that he didn't violate the ROE. And so what do? We instill a sense of fear in our troops that no matter what they do, even if it's saving their own lives from enemy fire, that they're potentially going to be wrong and they're going to be punished. So we teach them, don't act. We've done the exact same thing. The great unifier, Comrade Barry Hussein, paraded into office, immaculated as the Messiah by the left wing. And what were we told? We were told that this was going to be the end of racism in America, that this was going to usher in a new era of cooperation and peace and brotherhood and yada, 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 yada crap. Let's be honest. Look at your nation today, America. And if you're outside of America, just look at us. The United States of America is more divided today than it has been in the last 20, 30 years. And it's been divided on purpose. It's been 100% deliberate. We have a commander-in-chief, a chief executive, who cannot make excuses fast enough for thug behavior, for thuggish criminal behavior. People behave like thugs and criminals and reprobates, and the first thing that the communist in charge does is look to see what color their skin is, and if it's dark, then he makes an excuse for them. But if you're a white police officer, then immediately, without even knowing any of the facts of the case, you step out and say that he acted stupidly. Yeah, that happened. I know you guys all have the attention spans of a housefly, but that happened in the United States. We have a thug element in the United States that has been emboldened that is, I mean, Comrade Barry has done everything but actually hold a press conference and say, listen up, brothers and sisters, you can loot, riot, burn, kill, do whatever you want, and I will blame the local police department for being racist. If anyone tries to stop you, I will prosecute them. You can burn down your cities, and then I'll tell Congress to pass a special emergency spending bill to build up the city that you just burned down. Everything I've just said is not conjecture. It's not opinion. It's fact. How is it that after 4 years and another 4 years of this insane nonsense, we have Comrade Barry created ISIS. He cannot deny it. Now, he will, and the sycophants in the media will let him get away with it. But the fact of the matter is, there was no ISIS when George W. Bush was president. Our enemy was afraid to fight us in the open. Our enemy was afraid to put on uniforms. They had to hide amongst the population. We have been so weakened by this administration over the last 8 years that our enemy, the vicious monsters that represent the death cult of Islam, they're no longer afraid. They put on uniforms and fly flags and march proudly in the open. Say what you will about George W. Bush, but they wouldn't have done that when he was president. They didn't do that in 2004, 2005, 2006, 2007, you name it. Because they understood that they had to hide because they had something to fear, that they couldn't meet us on the battlefield in the open. Don't get me wrong, ISIS is still the same goat-raping cowards that they were when they were wearing civilian clothes and planting bombs in the roads in Iraq and Afghanistan and so forth. Same people. But they've become so emboldened now that they stand up in public and thumb their noses at us. And why do you suppose that is? Comrade Barry Hussein Sotero will not even refer to the death cult monsters as Islamic terrorists. He can't even make himself say the words. Why do you suppose that is? Let me guess. None of this matters, and it all happens in a vacuum. So knowing this, knowing full well all of these things, the entire country knows this. I mean, they're aware of it. They've been made aware of it. Knowing full well, how is it even possible that the heir apparent to the liberal socialist, the social fascist party, I guess liberal fascism, that the heir apparent to the D party can even have 5%, 10%, 15%. Do you folks out there in the listening audience actually want a third term? Have you not had enough? Have you not been embarrassed enough and abused enough? Do you feel like you need some more? Do you really believe that by the inauguration of this monster, this female, I feel like there's bile rising up in my throat. Do you really believe that things are going to improve and change and that we're going to actually take a different path other than the one we're on? And you say to me, no, Paul, of course I don't. That's why I'm voting for Gary Johnson. That's why I'm voting for Alfred E. Newman. That's why I'm voting for blah, blah, blah. That's why I'm gonna stay home and abstain. I'm gonna Facebook all day long on November 8th about how I'm staying away from the polls and I'm voting my principles by not going. Therefore, guaranteeing, do you not think that the liberal fascists, that the social democrats, do you not think that they've already counted the electoral votes? They have filled every major metropolitan area in these United States with parasites and tax slaves. They have purchased their votes and their slavish loyalty with your money. You're listening to me in Nebraska, Kansas, Texas, Alabama, Mississippi, Wyoming. You're listening to me in, Oregon, South Dakota, North Dakota. You're listening to me in free America. And this is what you need to understand. The big political machine has been stealing your money for decades and handing it out to people who live in New York, Chicago, Philadelphia, Los Angeles, you name it. Every major metropolitan area in these United States has been filled with parasites and tax slaves. People whose votes have been purchased, their loyalty has been purchased. They are slavishly loyal to anyone with a D behind their name. They could run a desk lamp and put a capital D behind it, and that person would win in New York, in Chicago, you name it. What they figured out a long time ago is if they could, and people in this, the state of New York tell me, Paul, come on, man, here, we in upstate New York, we're good people and we're conservative people and we're hardworking people. It's just those scumbags down there in New York City. Yeah, I know. I understand that. That's what they figured out. They don't need to control the whole state to get all the votes, to get all the electoral votes. Illinois. I have people in southern Illinois all the time tell me, Paul, no, you don't understand, man. It's just Cook County and Chicago. Okay, great. They still get all the electoral votes. I do get it. Ohio. Basically, you have Columbus, Cincinnati, and Cleveland, and then a couple other smaller ones like Akron, Dayton. I don't know what's up with Dayton. Toledo. Oh, man, Toledo. Jeez. Ugh. Filled with tax slaves. Michigan. Now, there's not as many tax slaves living in Detroit anymore because they're weeding each other out by killing each other, and all the people who can have fled. Anyone with the opportunity or the ability to flee Detroit has fled. And it's sad to me, but it's a fact. If you stay home on November 8th, or if you vote your conscience for Gary Johnson, or you write in Alfred E. Newman or whatever, if you don't get that Alfred E. Newman thing, I don't know what to tell you. Just go back to 1978. Get in a time machine. Jared, do you get that? When I said vote for Alfred E. Newman, do you get it?
Nope.
Jared doesn't get it. He has no idea. If you think that is going to change the course of these United States, if it's going to put us back on the right track, if you think staying home or voting your principle or abstaining, you're like, well, if we don't have principles, what do we have, Paul? How can we claim to be conservative, hardworking Americans and not have principle? Really? How many of you out there have ever pitched manure? I have. I know a lot of you probably haven't because we're not agrarian anymore. Most people live in cities. Do you go out and pitch manure out of your barn because it's fun and it's enjoyable, because it's something you want to do? Or do you do it because you know you need to? Because there's so much bull crap, cow crap, horse crap, crap built up in there that it's time you got to get it out. It's going to reach the ceiling if you. And what do you do? What do you do in the wintertime? Well, in the wintertime, it's cold and it's nasty, and you just throw straw over it. You just throw straw over it and you cover it up, and you cover it up, and you cover it up, and you just keep piling straw on top of crap. But eventually, the springtime comes. And you go out in the barn and you realize the crap is a foot deep. It's got to go. Can't even find the floor of the barn anymore. And so you roll up your sleeves, you take a red bandana and you tie it around your face. You get a pitchfork, shovel, manure spreader, and you get in there and you get rid of it. You got to get it out. Now, I tell you what, you've been throwing straw all over that crap for that manure for how long? For, a month or 2, 3 months, more than that. And, as long as you put straw on top of it, it kind of abates the stink. I mean, it doesn't smell great, but it doesn't smell that bad, and you can deal with it. You can tolerate it. But you put that fork in, you put that pitchfork in, and you take that first scoop out. Or let's say you're a fancy farmer and you got a front loader, and you can actually get into the barn with the front loader and get it out. As soon as you break the surface, you are slapped with a stench like you will not believe. And you want to run. You want to get out. You want to go somewhere else. You want to just get out of there. Do anything but this. I don't want to have to do this. You don't do it because it's fun. You don't do it because it's something you want to do because it's enjoyable. You do it because it needs to be done. Right now, what we're doing with the big DC, with the power culture, with the ruling class in our country, our nation is crumbling. It is being weakened every day. It is being poisoned day upon day, every day. And we're just throwing straw on it and leaving it for the next generation. Just throw some straw on that crap. Somebody will eventually come along and clean it up. Not me. I got stuff to do. I got fantasy football picks. Dancing with the Stars is coming on. The Voice is coming on. I got stuff to do, man. The new iPhone. I got to go stand in line, get my new iPhone 7. Just throw some straw on that manure, and eventually somebody will clean it up. This race, this November 8th election, is not about Donald Trump as a human being, as an individual person. It's about what he represents, and that is he is not a Washington insider. You have a choice. You can either support Donald Trump and the movement to change, alter, clean up the corrupt culture of Washington, D.C., or you can buy your vote for Gary Johnson or Alfred E. Newman or, Pat Paulson or whatever. Maybe Ralph Nader's on the ticket again. I don't know. You can vote for them, thereby guaranteeing that the vicious, evil harpy gets into office, thereby guaranteeing that the last 8 years of Comrade Barry will not only continue, but intensify. Is that what you want for your children and your grandchildren? All of you Gary Johnson supporters and, like I said, Pat Paulson and I know a lot of you kids are like, what is he talking about? Pay attention to social studies, kids. Pay attention to history. You cast your vote for Ralph Nader, You do all that. And the country you want to leave to your grandchildren and children, that you want to leave a country where we get another 4 years of Comrade Barry Part 2, Part 3. You want the current liberal socialism, this hardcore progressive socialism that's been shoved down our throats for 8 years. You want more of that? You want it to actually intensify? You think Comrade Barry funneled money to his cronies? You think he was good at payback? You ain't seen nothing yet. Hold on to your purses, pocketbooks, and wallets, friends, because if you allow that vicious harpy, that criminal, the unconvicted felon, if you allow that unconvicted felon to enter the White House again, you think you've seen payback before? You think you've seen crony capitalism before? You think you've seen slush fund capitalism before? You've seen nothing until you see that. And that is the end of my opening monologue for today. Welcome, iHeartRadio listeners. Jared, are you still over there with me?
Yes, I am still over here. I was wondering, I was like, did he forget to do the other stuff, or is this still the opening monologue?
All right. Get yourself some coffee and thank our friends at Brownells at brownells.com. Brownells has got everything you need if you are a gun person. Even if you're not a gun person, they've got stuff for you. So you might want to check them out at brownells.com. Now, somebody recently, actually this weekend, said to me, they're like, man, I went to Brownells, and they were sold out of X or Y.
They said what?
Brownells. And they did. That's what they said. And but anyway, I said, you know why? I said, because 1,000 other goobers just like you were on there at the exact same time buying that. Folks, do I need to tell you that you shouldn't be waiting? I'll get one of those eventually. I'm thinking about, eventually I will. Really? That's your plan? Okay. Have a good time with that. Go to brownells.com today. Sign up for their electronic newsletter so that when they do run specials, when they run a sale, if you wait 3 days to get in on that sale, you just go ahead and delete that email because that's going to be gone. Because it's going out to tens of thousands of people. And they're jumping on it. Century Arms, the sweetest melted arms maker in the U.S. of A. Makers of the C39 V2, the RAS-47, the TP9 SA, SF, SFX.
They're probably hugging all their AKs today.
Yeah, that's right. If you're not hugging your AK today, you should be hugging a Century AK. Duracoat, because life's too short to have an ugly gun. Let's face it, it is. It's just too short to have an ugly gun. You can get Duracoat products at LauerWeaponry.com, or you can get them at Brownells or whatever you want to do. This weekend, I did some training. I conducted some training for a friend of mine. A friend of mine asked me if I would come over and kind of host or put together kind of a private class, and so I did it. And it was a long Friday. We had a really super busy Friday, and I went directly from there to being on the road, directly into teaching, and then directly into coming back. And believe me, Saturday morning I took my 9mm plus P, kind of keep me going there. And that could have been why I was a little bit of a slave driver, Jared, because I got up, had breakfast, took my 9 plus P, started drinking bottles of water, and we went from. We didn't take a lunch break. We just took breaks to drink water and load magazines and just drove on.
All the important things.
Yeah, that's right. And drove on. And, of course, I took my multivitamins as well. You guys want to use the promo code SOTG2015 when you go to SWATfuelstore.com. Frog Lube Green Minty Fresh. It is a bio-based firearms lubricant. And, yes, you better believe that my guns were frog lubed on Saturday when I was out there shooting. I didn't have any problems with either one of I used the TP9 SA for all the demonstration purposes, and then I have a black rifle that's not a black rifle anymore. It's a camouflaged rifle because it's got Duracoat on it. And what am I wearing right now? Well, thank you for asking. I'm wearing a Crossbreed holster Super Tuck Deluxe with a horsehide backing, and it's the most comfortable in the waistband holster you're ever going to wear. End of story. How's that sound for you?
It sounds like a plan.
I've got some stuff in here. We're already at 28 minutes, but this weekend's training. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. I spent some time. A good friend of mine asked me if I would drive over to Alabama, and kind of host some private training for him and a couple of his friends, and so that's what I did. But it gave me the opportunity because it was a relatively small group of guys, only about half a dozen guys, and we had the property, the range area, all to ourselves. We didn't have to worry about anybody else showing up and saying, "Hey, you're shooting too fast, and you're not allowed to move. It's dangerous," and stuff. So we had the latitude to do what we really needed to do. And what I'm going to do tomorrow for you guys, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Tomorrow, I'm going to examine the topic of who is on your team and exactly what is a team all about and what should you do to work with your team. So let's talk about that tomorrow. I don't want to shrift this. I just don't want to short you guys on this information. I think it's important enough that I give it my full attention. But in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead, and if Jared will let me, I'm going to sip some of my really good Ethiopian coffee. I'm going to let Alex talk for a minute.
Attention, new listeners. We produced a free training video series called 7 Training Tips That Could Save Your Life. We want you to have access to this life-saving information. Get instant access now at studentofthegun.com. Do you watch Student of the Gun TV, read the blog, and follow us on Facebook? If you answered no to any of those questions, you are wrong, but you can easily fix yourself. Go to studentofthegun.com to find everything SOTG.
All right, cats and kittens, it is a Tuesday, and, well, because it's Tuesday, we have a quiet time moment brought to you by silencershop.com, and we always enjoy it.
We learned growing up, if you were going to hunt webbit,
you had to be very, very quiet. Oh.
At silencershop.com, that's what we do. We make guns very quiet with state-of-the-art suppressor technology for every caliber you've got in your safe. From 22s up to the big boys. Minimal noise, less recoil, higher velocity, better accuracy. Do you honestly need another reason to get a silencer?
Oh, ask we webbit.
Get the facts and get suppressed at silencershop.com. Making the world a quieter place.
You know, that's actually the silencershop.com. We were talking this weekend. I was talking with some of the folks out there, and I asked them whether or not they own suppressors or silencers. And a couple of did. A couple of guys did. A lot of guys didn't. But if you're wondering what they've got in stock at silencershop.com, just follow them on their social media. Follow their Instagram page, because those guys constantly put up pictures of whether it's pistol or rimfire or rifle silencers or what have you. And, of course, you can see little videos and pictures and that kind of stuff. And if you're listening to me right now and you don't have a silencer, or you think you don't understand why you should have one, you really need to listen a little bit louder, because we've talked about it in great detail previously. But today's quiet time, it's not about silencers or hardware. It's actually about software. It's actually about thinking and engaging your brain. Now, last week on Friday, we did Friday's Morning Mindset, and I talked about embracing mediocrity, and not that embracing mediocrity is a good thing. I talked about that it is not a good thing, and that it's really borderline criminal, and it's very distasteful to me when people will use the forum, their internet forums, whether it's YouTube or blogs or whatever. They use their little pulpits, their little mini soapboxes, to encourage their fellow man to be mediocre. And of course, well, yesterday, that was one of my my tip for the troops, my little my encouragement for the military troops was to reject mediocrity. And one of the things that we get, and I've been literally for, I don't know about decades, but many years, since long before I actually even started Student of the Gun as a television show and a radio show, when I was just writing, I've been teaching somewhat, I don't know, not full-time, but I've been teaching in some form or fashion, actually. I became a rifle and pistol marksmanship coach. I went through my first official firearms coaches training school when I was in the Marine Corps back in 1990. And since that time, I've been involved in education, in teaching, instructing, and so forth. But we get this from the naysayers, from those who embrace mediocrity, that all these tactical pistol and rifle, these firearms instructors, they're just trying to swindle you out of your money. They're just trying to convince you that you need training. Which, just those words coming out of a human's mouth is just some of the most ridiculous. I don't even know how to describe it without getting really vulgar. But for an adult human being to look at their fellow humans and say, you don't need education. You don't need training. You don't need instruction. You can do it all yourself. It's just insane. No other area of endeavor in the world other than firearms do people assume that because they were born in possession of testicles that they are a good shooter. Men have this just strange, bizarre, this feeling, I don't know how to describe it. But men behave as if the fact that they were born with testicles makes them good lovers, good drivers, and good shooters. I don't need you telling me I'm a man. I know how to shoot. How hard can it be? Yeah, how hard can it be? So don't take my word for it. I'm just a guy. I'm just a dude. Have you ever heard of a guy named Socrates? No. I know most of you that went to public school in the last 20 years have no idea who Socrates is, who he was, and his influence on philosophy in the Western world and science. And now, last week I told you guys that I was involved in reading the book The Republic by Plato. And in the book, there's a lot going on there, but one of the things that you are given is the philosophy of Socrates and quotes from Socrates. And I discovered a quote in the book The Republic, that I thought I would share with you guys that is very, very, we're talking 2,000 years ago, okay? And this is the quote from Socrates. He says, "No tool will make a man a skilled workman or master of defense, nor be of any use to him who has not learned to handle them and had never bestowed any attention upon them." Think about that. 2,000 years ago, when discussing skill versus tools versus toys versus objects, Socrates said, "No tool will make a man a skilled workman or master of defense, nor be of any use to him who has not learned how to handle them and had never bestowed any attention upon them." Wow. That's not Paul Markle speaking right there. That's Socrates. "Well, I don't know what this Socrates guy, I never heard of him before. Why should I take his word for it?" Yeah, exactly. Why? You know, you've been shooting your whole life, and you don't need any instruction or training, or you just need to go buy stuff. And, you know, if you buy it, well, then you will be a skilled workman. You will know what to do. You will be a master of defense because you walked into a store with your credit card and bought a rifle. Congratulations. Ladies and gentlemen, the tools do not give you skill. I don't care how much you spent on a scope. I don't care how much you spent on that key mod rail system. That does not impart skill to you. It does not impart the ability for you to use that. It's like a self-taught motorcycle rider. Like, so you went out and bought a motorcycle, so now you know how to ride it, right? Because you bought it, and you're a man, I'm a man, I bought a motorcycle, now I'm a motorcycle rider. Yeah, the hospitals and morgues are filled with self-taught motorcycle riders. Because buying an object does not make you a skilled workman or a master of defense. So don't take it from me, take it from Socrates. So there you go. All right, kid, and if you guys don't get that reference either, I don't even know what to say to you. So just, you need to listen louder. You need to broaden and expand your horizons.
That is Socrates.
That's Socrates. Make sure that you're hugging your AK, and when you take pictures of yourself hugging your AK, because you know you want to, and when you share them with everyone in the world on Facebook or Instagram or whatever, you're going to hashtag it. That's a little pound sign. Hug your AK. That is your homework assignment today, kids. Hug your AK. Tell your AK that it's going to be all right, and you're going to protect it, and you're going to take care of it, and you're not going to allow the liberal fascists to hurt it or harm it in any way. All right? And tomorrow we're going to be back with you guys, and we're going to talk about what it means to be on a team. So you'll have that to look forward to. Remember to eat it every day, and that you're a beginner once but a student for life.